West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Well, we're singing the blues this morning, Bill Thorpe. It's 6 a.m. in the Mile High City, and Space Command is heading out.
Yes, it is. It's out of here.
Sad.
Yeah.
I'm mourning this just in light of the fact that we're losing good people. I mean, the people that work at Space Command, generally, probably pretty good people. I'd like them as neighbors, as opposed to maybe Tren de Aragua.
Do you still have, is it just me? Do you still have an issue with that name? Does it sound like something out of Toy Story?
Space Command.
Yeah, it sounds like something out of Toy Story. It sounds like something out of again, if we were going to invent, a new name for a government agency, Space Command just seems like something out of Saturday morning cartoon. Again, I'm not saying I have a better idea.
I will lay it before you because I am such a fan of Star Trek and Space Wars and all that Chewie and Spock and everybody are mixed together in my mind.
You are,
yes, right.
It's anytime those shows are on, you have to watch those. You just sit down. It's a marathon. Yes, we know. Yes. You've even gone so far as to get the old Christmas special from Star Wars on VHS. Yes, that's how far you've gone.
Is there really one of them?
Yes, there is. Yes, and it's absolutely atrocious.
There's a Christmas special of Star Wars.
Oh yeah, and it is.
Was Jesus a part of that?
No, but it's again.
But Santa was.
It seems like Satan was because it's so bad. It is so bad. It is so bad. But yeah, we can talk about that another day. But yes.
Well, what would you name it, sir?
Again, I said I don't know. I don't have necessarily a better name. But that doesn't mean I can't make fun of the name they chose. I mean, it's not like people don't ask me what to name their kids, but I can say, yeah, that's a stupid name. Probably shouldn't have picked that one. Yeah.
Well, it is a gut punch of a morning. President Trump's plan to move U.S. Space Command from Colorado Springs to Huntsville, Alabama. This is not just a policy shift. It's a blow to Colorado's economy, military heritage, and national security footprint. For years, Colorado Springs has been the proud home of Space Command, supporting thousands of jobs, pumping millions into our local economy from Fort Carson to Peterson Space Force Base. Our state has been a cornerstone of America's defense, but now Democrats' relentless attacks, 33 lawsuits against Trump. I looked this up. How many? Because every email I get from Phil Weiser, Jared Polis, Jenna Griswold, Michael Bennett, John Hickenlooper, anybody that's elected statewide is, look at me, I'm suing the president again. And they skip down the road. 33 lawsuits against the president. You know how many Alabama has?
No, probably. They're not sure.
Goose egg?
Yeah.
Zero.
Zero. I do want a Space Force hoodie, though, because, you don't know if it's a pretend or real.
Key thing.
I'd like one of those.
Space Command's different than Space Force.
Oh, I know. I just want a Space Force.
I did not know that.
I
was running around going, Space Force is leaving space. And people were on X.
Yeah.
And Space credit Command. To it, people on X going, dude, Space Command is different than Space Force.
Yeah.
So
I want a Space Force.
We're going to be talking all about that. Who do you blame for this? Is it the Democrats and their 33 lawsuits against Trump? You pee on the leg of the guy who gets to make the decision on this, and then you're shocked he doesn't want to have anything to do with you anymore? Do you blame the Democrats, or is this just a political move?
Here's a
Donald
question.
Trump penalizing us for voting for Democrats.
That's the question. Is you talked about the idea of the guy who gets to make the choice. The issue is the choice was already made. Now, here's the thing. The choice, the recommendation was originally Alabama. Biden chose Colorado. And so Trump now is making the third choice, technically, of where this is going to be. Because there was a committee that chose one place, Biden chose a second place, and now Trump's choosing a third. So does that mean the next time we get somebody else in the White House, fourth time for it to change? That's what I'm wondering. Is this becoming that kind of a political football?
Bouncing back and forth.
It'll
and,
just be,
you know, bases have always played that role. But, Bill, speaking of Biden.
Yeah.
Biden moved BLM headquarters back to D.C. Trump Now moving Space Command to Alabama, I think we all need to come to terms with the fact that Colorado is just the ugly girl at the dance that no one wants to dance with.
I don't know about nobody. It may be Trump doesn't want to, but I don't know about nobody.
Biden doesn't want us.
Well, Biden moved
Trump
Space Command
want
here, though.
us.
Biden moved Space Command here.
Yeah, but he moved BLM away.
I know, but he did move that here, so I don't know. I'm not certain about that one. Also, I'm curious about the idea of Trump saying that one of the reasons he didn't like us is because we have all mail-in ballots.
Yeah.
As if, what? Huh? Last time I checked, I didn't get a chance to vote for anything concerning Space Command. I didn't get a vote for where it goes, who works there, what it does, nothing. Why does my mail-in ballot impact anything about Space Command? It's a weird
tired of
connection.
dealing with the liberal baloney.
Or is it just he's throwing the baloney this time? What is it?
Oh, phone lines are open, and this is going to be a hot one this morning. Who do you blame? The Democrats and their 33 lawsuits against President Trump, or President Trump for making this a political issue and harming Colorado's economy? Want to hear directly from you? Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line at 720-819-5115. Now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Hey, good Wednesday morning. Hump day. Here we go. 56 and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 87 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story.
And today we're moving forward with what we want to do and the place that we want to have this, and this will be there for hopefully hundreds of years. That's where it's going to be.
DJT says U.S. Space Command headquarters will move from the Springs to Huntsville, Alabama in the Shoals. 47 says Colorado's laws on voting by mail was a factor in his decision. U.S. Space Command HQ will shift its operation from Peterson Space Force Base to Huntsville's Redstone Arsenals in the coming years.
I will say I want to thank Colorado. The problem I have with Colorado, one of the big problems, they do mail-in voting. They went to all mail-in voting, so they have automatically crooked elections, and we can't have that. When a state is for mail-in voting, that means they want dishonest elections, because that's what that means. So that played a big factor also. In Huntsville, Space Com will play a key role in building the Golden Dome, as you know. That's going to be a big thing. Everybody wants to be a participant in it. Missile Defense Shield, we're going to be having a Golden Dome that the likes of which nobody's ever seen before.
Thanks a lot, lefties. A Park County man has been arrested after allegedly driving into a crowd of anti-Trump protesters. The Park County Sheriff's Office says that 49-year-old Hawk Nosaka was arrested Monday at his home in Bailey. No injuries were reported. DJT isn't messing around. We struck a cartel cocaine speedboat Monday in the Caribbean, headed to the States, killed 11 TDA narco-terrorists, and sent a message, a deadly message, to the cartel, i.e. government, in Venezuela. Waymo driverless vehicles.
On that real quick, I got to look this up. Javier Marbury, state rep. Okay. All right. Classic liberal take on this. All right. So the cartels have killed more Americans than any other terrorist organization out there. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
And Trump is using weapons of war to go after these cartels. Well, yesterday he writes this in light of it. Now remember, Javier is Berkeley law educated, okay? Like that lib, okay?
That far left.
Here's Javier last night. This is cartels bringing drugs in to kill Americans, okay? And he writes this: the White House is bragging about committing a war crime. Being suspected of trafficking drugs does not justify extrajudicial killing. This is horrifying, he writes. And Dems in Congress can and should say so. You don't have to wait for the poll testing to say that extrajudicial killings are bad. Okay? Now, this reminds me of all these mayors that you're seeing out there, right? That Trump's bringing in the National Guard and combating crime, and they're saying that is terrible. Again, Javier Marbury saying the killing of drug cartel members is, quote, horrifying.
Those innocent drug pushers.
Right, yeah. Not the bringing of drugs into America to kill teenagers.
Hundreds of thousands
of
Americans.
Yes.
No, there's no question.
Way worse than anything Al-Qaeda has done as far as pure number of Americans that have died. And Trump's now, like, gloves are off. Narco-terrorists are being targeted with drone strikes, which I think is just fantastic. Okay, that sends a very clear message. But
no doubt,
the Democrats here in Colorado think that the killing of those guys is the horrifying part, not the dead Americans.
Sure, but they don't mind starting endless wars in the Middle East or overseas. It doesn't matter. And how long have we talked about this? Let's clean up our own problems here. We have plenty to worry about here, and that's a great example of it. And that's what DJT and this administration are doing. I couldn't agree with you more.
Saddam Hussein killed fewer Americans than these cartels did.
Yes, absolutely.
And they were very happy to send troops go over there and fight those guys in Iraq.
Yep. We had and probably still have TDA in our backyard right now. And people sympathize with them. It's horrible. Keep it up. I love it. I love what Marco Rubio's doing and this administration. Oh, by the way, here, let's play this for Billy.
All Star Max and Star Wolf. Scramble.
Space Command. Had to do that for him. Waymo driverless vehicles beginning a pilot program to map out the city streets of Denver and engage the local community. About a dozen cars will be part of the pilot, which will mainly focus on the downtown area. And it says here that Jeff Hunt and his family will be leading the ribbon cutting ceremony.
Love Waymos. This is the future, baby.
I see Waymo, and all I think about is you and your kids, man.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Dude, you will love it. It's such a great experience. This is the revolution we've been waiting for.
Does it happen to clean up the streets as they drive around
that
downtown?
Would be nice. But this is going to be a unique challenge because Scottsdale, where we rode in it, didn't quite have bike lanes everywhere the same way that Denver has.
Good point.
So, how many Denver riders are going to be run over by a Waymo? Who knows?
Absolutely. Okay, so Waymo hopes to begin offering rides to Denver passengers sometime next year. I think there should be one with a wrap with Jeff's face on it, holding a 710 KNUS microphone with a wrap, man, around. I love it.
That would be awesome.
NTSB has released a report on a train derailment that happened last month in Denver. 8 cars derailed in the August 5th crash at the BNSF Railway Yard in Denver. A train conductor was trapped beneath one of the cars and had to have his leg amputated. The NTSB says a switch was in the wrong position at the time of the crash, allowing the train to move onto an occupied line. The derailment is still under investigation. A highly anticipated press conference is scheduled today on Capitol Hill involving victims of late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
We're going to continue to bring in more people. We learned of some additional names today. We're going to do everything we can to give the American public the transparency they seek.
That's James Comer. The victims will be joined by Rokana and Thomas Massey. It'll be a bipartisan effort to seek justice and the truth. DJT says he's going to the Supreme Court after a lower court ruled most of his tariffs are illegal. Trump says that we're going to ask for an expedited hearing with the High Court Wednesday. Commie judges doing whatever they can to destroy the country again. VPJD is set to visit Minneapolis today following last week's deadly shooting at the Catholic school. He's expected to hold a series of private meetings to convey condolences to families of those affected by the tragedy. And speaking of Minnesota, the whack job, that Governor Tim Walz, he was hoping the president was dead over the weekend.
You get up in the morning and you doom scroll through things, and although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. There will be news sometime, just so you know. There will be news.
What he meant to say was someday there will be news that DJT is dead. He's such a freak. The governor of Minnesota. Broncos Wednesday practice today as they prepare for the Titans Sunday at Mile High. 2:05 kickoff. Tomorrow night, Cowboys at the Eagles. Pokes without Micah Parsons. Delaware, the Fighting Blue Hens at Folsom Saturday to take on the Buffs at 1:30. CSU plays host to UNC. Wyoming takes on Northern Iowa. 55 in Brighton, 54 in Littleton, 56 in Denver. Jeff and Billy have just kicked off Hump Day. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Mostly sunny to partly sunny and very pleasant here in Denver and along the Front Range today, tomorrow, and Thursday. As nice September weather will dominate. Highs will be 80s, overnight lows will be 50s. For Friday and the weekend, a little bit cooler, 70s to near 80 or so, and we'll see some better chances of afternoon and evening thunderstorms. Weather is a service of L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
According to the Denver Post, moving Space Command could cost Colorado Springs 4,000 direct and indirect jobs and $1 billion in annual economic impact. But is this something we brought upon ourselves? 33 lawsuits against Donald Trump the state has filed. Alabama, 0. There are efforts by our state leaders to keep Trump off the ballot. And their obsession with mail-in voting and sanctuary city policies have pushed Trump to take Space Command elsewhere. Is this something we brought upon ourselves, Bill?
That's a weird filter to look at personally, because does that mean that in theory you need to please the king? Otherwise, he'll take your stuff away. Is that the reason that he went after Harvard? Is that the reason he's going to go after other states? Is that the reason he's focused on sending the National Guard to Chicago, despite Chicago not having as high of a murder rate per capita as other areas of the country? Is this a step? And what I'm curious about is where you're going with this. Is this a step that we need to please the king, and if we don't, then you're going to be punished for not pleasing the king? Is that where we're going now with the idea of a president?
Is it pleasing the king, or is it taking every aspect of your state in an effort to sabotage the president's agenda? So it's one thing to say, well, we have to do everything that he wants. He wants us to jump. We ask how high. It's another thing to go, we are going to use every ounce of our power, like Phil Weiser, and define our political careers as opposing the president, and then act shocked when he has the power to take away some of the things in our state. Because I get all their emails. I mean, it is relentless. I'm Jenna Griswold. I stand against the president. I'm Michael Bennett. I stand against the president. I'm John Hickenlooper. I stand against the president. I'm Jared Polis. I stand against the president. Everything these guys do has nothing to do with the betterment of this state, of improving your roads or your schools or bringing businesses. No, they wake up every single day to figure out how they could use their offices to stop the work of the president of the United States. And then we say that Donald Trump is acting like an authoritarian because he doesn't want to reward the political leaders who define their entire careers by opposing him. I don't know if you can say that it's just simply about pleasing the president.
How is that different than behavior of some Republicans during the Biden administration? According to what I'm seeing right now, Ken Paxton filed 100 lawsuits against the Biden administration. 100. I don't think Weiser's at that number yet. I don't think Weiser, Griswold, and Polis are at that number yet. 100. So again, explain to me how it's different from, the messages that we got from Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham and the messages we got from attorney generals. I stand against the president. I stand against the president. That seemed to be the clarion call of the Republicans when Biden was in charge. So help me understand how this is different.
Did we see Joe Biden going, hey, Texas, whatever you want, here you go, let's work together. By the way, here's lots of federal dollars that I get. No, they seem to have an icy relationship. So I'm saying in this case, President Trump seems to have an icy relationship with Colorado's leaders.
What thing on the level of something like a space command did Biden take away from Texas, even though they had an icy relationship? And then did he justify it based on another behavior in the state? Because you guys don't have income tax, I'm taking this away? Because that's what we're doing with mail-in balloting, something that's not necessarily even connected to the servicemen and women here in Space Command. Not even connected to it. But he's doing that. That's part of the justification. So that's what I'm curious about is this something that he's now being righteous and he's doing this for good reasons? Or is he just playing politics like everybody else? Is it just the fact that the shoe's on the other foot and now he's doing this? And the question I have is the justification. Some of these justifications seem larger than other justifications I've seen in past by other administrations. I don't say that other administrations don't play the same thing as far as politics, although this seems to be a couple of steps larger. I don't remember Joe Biden saying it's because of Alabama voter behavior or some sort of a policy inside the state that they weren't necessarily going there. But again, I could be wrong.
Right.
I easily could be wrong. Yeah, I'll go check to see, but I don't
Joe
Biden
know. Did block border funding based upon the dispute he had with Ken Paxton over what Texas was doing to try to address the border crisis. So he did block funds. He did step in and say,
that's federal
we're not
funds.
going to.
It's not telling the state what not to do.
Correct.
And Trump's done the same thing, and Obama did the same thing. Yeah, people do. Yeah, they do
so
that.
So they do funds.
And that's not necessarily different. But this seems a little different to me. The idea that pulling Space Command, in part because of our mail-in balloting system, that's just weird. It's a weird thing that he's trying to equate the two. That for some reason, that's part of the justification. I can't wrap my head around why that would matter a lick.
So in Trump's mind, what I saw yesterday was he mentioned mail-in balloting, but I think it's the whole picture of Colorado becoming a radically progressive state, setting itself up against him time and time again. I mean, the Secretary of State even working to try to keep him off the ballot. Now, you could say he didn't lay all that out in his argument. He just mentioned mail-in balloting. But I think it's the entire picture. It's a radically progressive state, set itself up against him, pees on the leg of the guy, and is shocked that the guy doesn't want to have anything to do with the state anymore.
Aren't the states, though, supposed to be little engines of democracy, little test areas? Wasn't that the entire statement that was made?
Doesn't mean that you're immune from all the problems.
Hang on, but that was part of the reason that this was trumpeted when we got rid of Roe versus Wade, that every state will be able to do what it wants. And if some states want to be more liberal, that's great in this republic. And if some want to be more conservative, that's great. Except now. Now when our state chooses by voter behavior, whether or not you agree or disagree with it, to be more liberal, now we deserve to be punished for it. What happened to that idea of the test of democracy, that we were going to be little incubators and that every state would have somewhat of its own choice and ability to go in certain directions and then pay the consequences for those directions? But this seems to be, I don't like you, so I'm taking your stuff.
Is that any different than what Polis is doing with the 6 counties and cities that he's in a lawsuit with?
I'm not. Here's the thing. I think that is a slight bit of difference because the justification. Polis is in the lawsuit because he's trying to mandate a specific behavior, but he's not saying, I want to mandate this behavior because you keep car dealerships open on Sunday, or something that is tangential. I know that's not the right example, but the issue being that Trump, part of the justification for this is something that is tangential and maybe not even connected to Space Force and Space Command. That, I mean, if Jared Polis came out and said, I'm doing this and I'm mandating these high density things because you guys didn't vote for my wolf reintroduction program, you'd go, wait, hang on. I mean, if he came to where you live in Elizabeth, said, I'm mandating all of these apartment complexes be built in your area because you guys voted against my wolf reintroduction program, would you go, hang on, hold on? Would you have any questions about that? That's what I'm asking. I've got questions about this, about the justification of the process in his mind, because it seems to me as a way to promote fealty, not a way to actually promote democracy. That's what I'm curious about.
Would love to hear from you. Join the conversation. Space Command heading out of Colorado. Who do you blame for this? Is it the Democrats? 33 lawsuits, sanctuary policies, mail-in voting. Trump's tired of the progressive direction of the state. Doesn't want to deal with it. Has the power to move this stuff. Is willing to punish Colorado. Or was this a political move unfair to the state? He's acting like a king, an authoritarian, and this is just another example of Trump taking too much power in his presidency. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. Let's talk about Mountain High Appliance. These folks are great, and they wanted to send you a message, okay? You work hard all year. You, listeners of 710 KNUS, deserve to be rewarded. So, this Labor Day, they're continuing the sale, but you got to take advantage of it because it's wrapping up here soon, okay? Mountain High Appliance is rolling out the best prices of the year at all their showrooms. Get over to Mountain High right now for incredible savings on today's top brands. Save up to $4,000 on select GE profile kitchen packages, and their price match guarantee ensures you are getting the best deal. When you think appliances, think locally owned Mountain High Appliance. We'll continue. Phone calls are coming in. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. The gut punch that came to many Coloradans yesterday, President Trump planning to move Space Command from Colorado Springs to Huntsville, Alabama. Who do you blame for this? I look at the Democrat leadership of the state. 33 lawsuits against Trump. Meanwhile, Alabama, 0. And then you look at our mail-in voting, sanctuary city policies. Trump's tired of it. Text messages agreeing with me in some cases, 1851. If you have extra responsibilities or privileges, are you going to give them to your rebellious child who's reckless and careless, or the responsible child that you know will treat the new responsibility with respect that it deserves? That's what Trump did. Others saying that this is a petty move. Trump's a frail and petty man. That's the bottom line on this Space Force move. 7638 texting in. Let's go to the phone lines. Jack in Wyoming. Who do you blame for this?
Well, it sounds like you got it right. I mean, we voted for Trump. One of the main things we wanted to do was clean up this voter fraud. If this is what he has to do it, I'm all for it. I mean, how else is he going to do it? He's going to send them a little note and say, please stop the mail-in voting. I mean, he's going to have to use some leverage somehow. And if this will work, if that's the leverage that he chose to use, I'm all for it.
Yeah, Jack, your phone line's breaking up, but the sense I got from that was this is his leverage. He has the power to do it. He can do it, and he's all for it. That's what Jack believes. What do you think? Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Speaking of Dan Caplis, I've known Dan for well over a decade. Pro-life, pro-family, pro-faith, pro-America. This guy is right there with us on the values, and that matters because who you choose to represent you in an injury case is going to say a lot about you to everybody involved in the case. You want a guy with a sterling reputation like Dan Caplis. Dan has dedicated 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado state history. Dan Caplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551. Or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S, law.com. The Colorado delegation united against the effort to move Space Command from Colorado. That means all senators, all members of Congress, regardless of party, all joining together in this statement yesterday. Today's decision to move U.S. Space Command's headquarters out of Colorado into Alabama will directly harm our state and the nation. We are united in fighting to reverse this decision. Bottom line, moving Space Command headquarters weakens our national security at the worst possible time. Moving to Space Command sets our space defense apparatus back years, wastes billions of taxpayer dollars, and hands the advantage to the converging threats of China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. The Department of Defense Inspector General's office has reported multiple times that moving the command will impede our military's operational capacity for years. Space Command's long-term presence in Colorado Springs has also created a large number of civilian businesses and workers on which the command now relies. Those people will not simply move with the command to at the military's whim. Many of them will leave the industry altogether, creating a disruption in the workforce that will take our national defense systems decades to recreate.
Yeah.
Being prepared for any threat should be the nation's top priority. A crucial part of that is keeping in place what is already fully operational. Moving Space Command would not result in any additional operational capabilities than what we have up and running in Colorado Springs now. Colorado Springs is the appropriate home for U.S. Space Command, and we will take the necessary action to keep it there.
I did find that originally Colorado Springs was recommended, then Huntsville, Alabama, then Colorado Springs, and going back when Biden made the announcement that it was Colorado Springs, Republican Representative Mike Rogers from the House Armed Services Committee said, "This fight is far from over. This decision shows far-left politics, not national security, was the driving force behind this decision." Seems like if we just replaced far left with far right, both sides are doing the same thing. Just want to point that out. We're having the same conversation.
Acting political,
we're just changing
fighting,
names.
Yes.
We're just changing words. Yeah.
Of course.
I know. We got Tony on the line.
Well, and I applaud the Republicans that joined together to do this. Right? It is always and has to be state constituent first. And,
it does. I understand
people, Republicans standing with Trump. I understand that argument too. The state, like I mentioned, 33 lawsuits against the president. They have positioned themselves to be the progressive tip of the spear against the president. That is going to cost you. And the president has the ability to do this. I understand that. He can move it on. I also appreciate Lauren Boebert, Jeff Crank, Jeff Hurd, and Gabe Evans going, this is going to impact our state in a negative way and raising that concern. All right, let's go to Tony Lakewood. Good morning, Tony. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Morning. I love your show, and I truly understand why he's doing it, and he's not happy with Colorado. I can't endorse him because he's trying to save this country so many millions and billions of dollars that he's doing something like this when Colorado has probably the secure location for this, and that's about it. So thank you guys. And
Tony, also, what about the cost to move? Because all of the, you've got to go and set up a new command center. That's going to be technology that's got to be moved. That's got to be set up. I think the infrastructure does exist as far as Huntsville, the basics infrastructure, but then also you have to pay to move the people that work there. And that's part of it as well, as far as, these servicemen and women. So again, I appreciate when you're talking about, being super worried about the budget, and then we're making this move. Again, if Colorado was super worried about their budget and they came out and said, I don't know, there was an example I was thinking of. Oh, yeah, to build a huge multi-million-dollar bridge right across Civic Center Park. You'd go, excuse me, we have some other things here that maybe we should pay for first before a bridge. And that's the only question I have here also is, not the only questions, one of the questions I have here is, if this is so important, if we are worried about spending, if we went through and we doged everything, does it really make sense as far as cost efficiency to make this move at this time?
Well, you brought up a great point. I didn't even think about the families that have to uproot their entire family and everything like that. So that's a little bit ridiculous. So, and the bridge, that makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah. I've crossed that street a million times. But yeah, the money, if he's saying I'm trying to do this, I'm cutting this program and that program, and he's just going to blow, $2 billion or whatever and uproot these people's lives, which is totally unnecessary. That's basically my stand. I like Donald Trump. I don't like his mouth. I like what he's getting done, but I can't back him on this one. Not
hey, thanks, Tony. Appreciate that, man. Thanks
Tony from Lakewood, his line will be open.
He's like our lawmakers. They're like, I support Trump, but I can't back him on this one. He's reflecting a lot of what our Colorado lawmakers, the conservatives, are saying. I support him, but I don't back him on this play.
Now, most of my followers on X are Colorado Republicans.
Yes.
And I put this poll up there last night, 7:35 p.m. You can go to x.com/Jeff Hunt to vote in it. Is Trump right to move Space Command from Colorado to Alabama? 90% yes. 90% say he is correct in moving Space Command from Colorado to Alabama.
I would love to have a follow-up question. Why? I think that would be fascinating. And the reason I'm fascinated by that is the motivation, this is the best place to have it, this makes the most sense, this is where Space Command should have been in the first place because of X, Y, and Z, or, yeah, he should punish this state. I'm curious what percentage of that 90 are in favor of punishment.
Others, a lot of comments on that poll. People saying Colorado's so expensive that even the feds can't afford it anymore. Others saying, look, we went woke, we're now going broke. So
yeah, that's a neat phrase, but it doesn't pay out. The only thing I'm going to point to is Barbie movie. That was supposed to be all super woke. It broke records. It won awards. Yeah, that's the idea of go woke, go broke doesn't necessarily always work. Yeah.
All right, join the conversation, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. President Trump taking U.S. Space Command from Colorado Springs to Huntsville, Alabama. Do you agree with the decision? Is this what's in the best interest of America? Get this out of Colorado? Continue to isolate the progressive leadership here that is not only ruining the state, but is ruining the country as well? Or is this Donald Trump acting like a king and putting his political desires ahead of the country's best interest? Want to hear from you. We'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Donald Trump moving U.S. Space Command from Colorado Springs to Huntsville, Alabama. Let's go to the phone line. Scott Littleton. What do you think, Scott?
Good morning.
Good morning. I've got 35 years in aerospace and defense, 30 of it here in Colorado, and the last 5 was out in California. I can tell you this, if I was president, being a conservative Republican, I wouldn't move anything military into this state. Anytime we ever had layoffs, when I worked in aerospace and defense, and we had a lot of them, there was always a Democrat president. They can't stand this country, and now what's ironic about it is you see Jason Crow sucking up to Raytheon and Lockheed Martin now because of the Ukraine thing, because he's trying to get that money, that little honey hole now, because it's one of the 2 major employers here in Colorado, and they're fake jerk-offs, and I wouldn't put anything in, as far as aerospace goes, in a Democratic state. California has dumped so many major aerospace and defense companies, it's not funny. And when I was out there, we had huge layoffs, and that's why we moved back here. And then I retired. But this was all under Democrats. When defense and aerospace is dying, except for when you got stuck up to like Crow, when that industry's dying, you got Democrats in charge of it. I wouldn't give them anything. The other thing is, and last thing,
Scott, I appreciate that. Look at what Democrats have driven from this state. Oil and gas, farmers, ranchers, restaurants are leaving. Now Space Command.
Yeah, I
agree with you on
I have
that
a little
one,
bit it couches my opinion of the rest of the things that follow when he leads with the Democrat presidents hate this country. Really? You may have a different...
They love criminals.
Well, hang on a second. That's a completely different issue. And again, that's tangential and everything else. But the idea that someone that runs to be president of the United States, they may have a different view, they may have a different direction, but to say they hate the country,
fundamentally transform it.
I disagree
Barack
with that.
Obama. All right.
Here's the thing: is I believe that Donald Trump is fundamentally transforming. I don't agree with the direction he's but I don't think he hates America. While I disagree in the direction he's taking us, saying when you say someone that is elected in politics, etc., hates the country, that hurts everything that follows your statement. Because it seems to not. Why would you run for office and go through all the pain and suffering if you actually hate America? There's so many better ways that you could express that rather than going through elections.
You make a lot of money like Ilhan Omar. All right, let's go to You Choose the News, Bill. We're going to run out of time here.
Yes, it's that time of the morning where we get to make questionable decisions. It's called You Choose the News, America's favorite fake radio news game show. I've spent moments this morning scouring interwebs to find really weird stories about us humans so that we can play this game because nobody in charge wakes up until 7 o'clock, and we're going to take full advantage of being left unsupervised. As always, Blake Olson joins us from the news department. Gentlemen, here are your headlines. Headline number 1, dogs, drones, and lasers. Headline number 2, lost again. Headline number 3, time to go, Billy. And headline number 4, very suggestible.
Let's start with lost again, please.
Yes, lost again. A painting that was stolen by the Nazis during World War II was spotted in an Argentinian estate agent's advertisement, has vanished yet again. Nobody knows what's happened to the portrait of a lady by Giuseppe Gislande. It was featured hanging above a sofa in a property in Buenos Aires. It was recently being sold by the daughter of... this is weird. The daughter of a senior Nazi who fled Germany after World War II. That's strange. A police raid on the house this week, however, turned up no painting. They were able to seize 2 weapons. The weird thing is that the furnishings inside the room had been rearranged. Someone had done a little bit of redecorating once the painting was spotted by people online during the real estate advertisement and when the police showed up. They now don't know where the painting is again. Yes. The painting at one time was in the possession of an SS officer and a senior financial aide to Hermann Göring. Fled in 1945 before eventually moving to Argentina, became a successful businessman, and ended up in the possession of one of his Nazi's friends. And the daughters now own the house. They're trying to sell it. The stolen painting is gone. Wonder where it went. That's weird. Yeah, that's weird. Alrighty. Second choice this morning. Blake, dogs, drones, and lasers. Time to go, Billy, or very suggestible?
Time to go, Billy.
Yes, time to go, Billy. So hopefully you understand the South Park reference for Stan's grandpa, who doesn't remember his name. An investigation is underway after a toddler went missing for several hours at a child care center in Australia. It started an absolute nightmare. Now, Bangor's First Steps Learning Academy was shocked when a mother came in to pick up their child. The child wasn't there. The staff went back and started reviewing closed camera TV footage and figured out that a grandfather earlier in the day came to collect his grandchild and took home the wrong kid. Yeah, Grandpa didn't notice.
The wrong kid?
Yes, he did. He did notice. Now, he was asleep when he picked the kid up, but by the time he got the kid into the car seat, brought him home, and then put him back to sleep, the entire time, Grandpa and Grandma didn't notice. They're very embarrassed by the issue, and they're saying sorry.
Dude, that will be talked about at every holiday gathering forever.
Yes. He didn't realize he was picking up the wrong grandchild.
Wow.
That's fantastic. Alrighty. Jeff, your final choice, sir. Dogs, drones, and lasers are very suggestible.
Dogs, drones, and lasers.
Dogs, drones, and lasers. That's the answer in Foster City, California, because of the geese. There have been so many geese in Foster City at a local park. They're trying to do something about it. They had a plan to kill some birds, but then there was a public outcry about that one. So instead, they're turning to dogs, drones, and lasers to move on the geese population. Before you say, well, they're just geese. What's the problem? On a daily basis, there's so many geese, they leave 400 pounds of waste behind. Geese, 400 pounds of geese poop a day? Yes. Yeah.
Holy cow.
So they got a lot of geese.
That's why they created shotguns for a reason.
Yes.
All right,
Or
you're
dogs,
listening
drones, and
to
lasers.
Jeff and Bill.
KNUS.